Darnell, the family man. Truly blessed today to be here to speak to you today. Blessed truly to say the day is my 20th wedding anniversary. Those people who know me know that 20 years of marriage had to have been a miracle. I recall my wedding day. I recall standing in the church with the best man. Standing there, I guess, so I wouldn't run out of the church. And I guess I wouldn't run out because he had the ring. And then I know the doors, they opened, and there was the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life coming down the aisle. She was being escorted by her dad. And then I remember the priest asking, who gives this woman to this man? And he said, I do. So then they presented me with this woman. And then he proceeded on with the vows. For better, for worse, sickness and in health, richer, for poor. And I'm thinking, I was so excited to be getting married, and the hoopla of that day, I don't even know if I was truly paying attention to the vows. I was captivated by her beauty. And I don't even know if she was really paying attention to her vows. Maybe she was captivated by me being so handsome, I guess. And then we celebrated and we had a great time. And I would love to be able to tell you that night we consummated our marriage and everything was great, but we were so tired we just went straight to sleep. Then we woke up and we packed and we went on this cruise and we had a great time. And then we came home. And then the marriage started. The wedding was over, the planning was over. Now it's time to live out our vows. That's when all of a sudden what we committed to through our vows, there before my family, my friends, and most importantly, God, I committed to being there. I think that most people don't understand, and when I say this, I don't mean this in a bad way. But I don't think that people can be happily married because the vows say that you're not always going to be happy. But you should always be committed. You should always be committed to showing up. I look at commitment as not just showing up when the sun shines, but showing up when it rains. You're not going to be happy as you would be when for richer as you would be for poor. You're not going to be happy during the sickness as you would have been during the health, but you still show up. You know who taught me this? It was a friend of mine Mr. Horn. And I recall when Mrs. Horn got sick, and she had been sick for about a year. And he was already in his 70s. And I remember him going up to the Cleveland Clinic every day. And the cancer that she was suffering from had spread to her brain, and some days she didn't even know that he was there. And I recall one of the nurses coming in the room and saying, well, Mr. Horn, why do you come every day? Because there's days that she doesn't even know you or hear, and some days she doesn't even recognize you. And you know what he told me? How could I show up every day for the health and not show up every day for the sickness? That meant something to me. That set the standard. That was the measure of that man that I then said, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to show up. every day. I'm not going to be perfect, and God never wanted me to be perfect, just obedient. I look at 20 years of marriage, and after the party was over and the vows were playing themselves out in those 20 years, and I look at the things that I learned from marriage about myself and being married that I didn't know even about me. I had to learn patience. I had to learn, to me, being patient is the ability to accept right now. Right now. I recall getting angry at the lovely woman that I'm married to because she wasn't the woman that I wanted right now, not understanding that she was going to be the woman that I was going to have down the road, that she was a work in progress. I was a great wife. I'll tell you this. I was a great wife. I spent so much of my time early in my marriage trying to tell her what to do as a wife, not doing any work on myself as a husband. I find myself now working as diligently as I can to be the best husband that I can be in spite of the wife that I have. I think the other thing that marriage has taught me about myself is how to compromise. I know that some people think that compromise is a give and take, but I think if I give and I take, then I end up with nothing. I think that compromise is choosing to be happy over always being right. I don't always have to be right. Marriage taught me that, but I always have to be happy. Because what I'm learning is that people who are always right are never happy. Because if you're always right, that means something's always wrong. So sometimes I have to allow her to be right so that I can be happy. I think that the other thing that I learned through marriage is people say you have communication problems. I disagree. I think that we don't have communication problems because all communication is the dispensing of information. It's just a transmission of information from one party to another. We do that. But what we don't do is have healthy conversation. Marriage taught me the importance of healthy conversation. Sometimes I found myself going straight from communication to argument, trying to force my right on her wrong. Now I value her opinion. A conversation is an exchange of opinion, of ideas from one party to the next. It's an exchange, not one person being right and the other person being wrong. I think the other thing that marriage has taught me, and I can look back on the 20 years that marriage has taught me that I need to work on, is not allowing other people to influence my marriage. This is my marriage. I know early on I would go to other people for advice and they would tell me how to be married to the woman, but the only person that can teach me, or the only thing that can teach me how to be married to her is her. I had to learn to listen to her and what she wanted and what she needed. Her love language. Because it wasn't as important that I say that I love her when I didn't care. I think that so often we put so much emphasis on love and so less on caring. To me, caring is love in action. Anybody can say they love, but not everyone shows they care. I think the other thing that marriage has taught me is that the other person that I'm married to is not perfect, and I'm not worthy of a perfect spouse. That I thought in marriage you're supposed to relate to everything. What I had to understand is we relate to some things And mostly I have to understand the things that I don't. I have to understand that certain things are important to her that may not be important to me. I have to understand that some things are funny to her and they're not funny to me. I had to do a lot of understanding. And I think it's so often in marriage that we're so quick not to understand because we think that how we feel is the only feelings. And marriage also taught me to be considerate of how she may feel. I know that some people think that cheating is when you're with someone else. And what marriage taught me is cheating is not letting your right hand know what your left hand is doing. I think that it is so important for us to understand that I need to know and she needs to know what I'm doing. But most importantly, I think marriage has taught me through the commitment of marriage how to show up and how tough, and because marriage is the hardest thing I've ever done, and it showed me how strong I am to continue to show up every day and honor my vows. I think that it is so important for marriage, and God created marriage because so often now we have so many fragmented families because no one has truly made that commitment. And when I say truly married, I'm not just saying you had the ceremony and you had the party and then it was time for the vows. You didn't show up. You showed up for the wedding, but not the marriage. It was hard for me to be married. I've been divorced 10,000 times because early on, every time something didn't go right, I'm getting a divorce. I can't take it anymore. But God said, show up, and I committed to that, and that's what I've been doing for 20 years. And I plan to continue showing up because I committed to God. I'm committed to marriage. And I think that is what is needed today, is that commitment to marriage. I want to leave us with this today because, as I said, this is my 20-year wedding anniversary and there's a lady waiting on me. God created marriage. Man made divorce. When I look at people who get divorced, I look at people who were never truly married. Because I believe that what God has joined together, no man is strong enough to tear apart. I hope that the words that I shared with you today will help inspire you to continue on your journey in marriage. Thanks for your time. And I'll see you next time.